Let's bring in Renée Hopkins. She is CEO of the Alliance for Gun Responsibility. She joins us now from Seattle. Renée, where do you land on this divide between laws governing people and the guns themselves? Do you want to see more background checks and red flag laws, or do we need to ban specific guns outright?
Yeah, I think the important thing to recognize here is that the divide is amongst politicians, not amongst American citizens. People in the United States have been begging for common sense gun laws for decades. And our politicians, and I will be really clear here, we are a nonpartisan organization, but almost completely Republican politicians refuse to act. And by their refusal to act, it means that more people die every single day. You just listed a number of high-profile shootings, which honestly, before this last week, probably wouldn't have made the news. But this is happening every single day in our country. 120 people die every single day by gun violence. And the American people are done. They're fed up and they want change. And you just noted the poll that you did with your news market, that we have similar polls going back a decade. This is nothing new. Americans are calling for change and politicians are refusing to act.
Renée, what does responsible gun ownership mean to you and your organization?
Yeah, I think responsible gun ownership looks similar to many other things that we have in our country. We have to get a license to drive a car, we get insurance to make sure that if anything happens and we're driving our car that we're covered. There are many that we know are very meaningful common sense gun laws that would reduce the carnage that's happening in our streets right now. And those include things like licensing and like universal background checks, which the vast majority of American people, including Democrats, independents, and Republicans, approve of. In Washington state, in the last 10 years, we have been able to pass a multitude of gun laws that we know are making a difference. And we really have a blueprint here for what the national and federal delegations of all of our states could be looking to pass at the federal level that would save lives.
And Renée, I know this issue was very personal for you. In 1996, your brother Arnie was killed in a school shooting. So how has that influenced you?
It's an interesting question. How has it influenced me? For the last 7 years, this has been my work. It will continue to be my work. I think the most important thing that people need to understand is that whether your loved one is killed in a mass shooting or is killed in everyday gun violence or dies by suicide, your journey doesn't end when the news cycle ends. And I implore everyone, including the media, to understand that you have 50% of the population in the United States that has experienced gun violence in some way, shape, or form. And that is just unacceptable. There is no reason that we need to live like this. Other countries with similar levels of mental illness, with similar levels of poverty, do not experience this level of gun violence. And it is simply easy access to firearms that is causing this in the United States. And my hope is that from the work that I do in Washington state and that my colleagues do around the country, every single life we save means that there is a family does not have to experience what I experienced and my family experienced, and that the families in Texas and Buffalo and California and across the country are experiencing today.
Renée, I'm very sorry for your loss. I know last year in February 11th of 2021, your op-ed about your brother, quote, "Will Congress finally act?" You wrote that. What do you want lawmakers to do?
Something. Honestly, something. They have the blueprint. There are states around the country who have lower levels of gun violence than other states, who have a list of policies that we know, if passed into law, will save lives. There is no question here about what needs to be done. The question is, will it be done? And that is a question that the lawmakers have to answer. And if they continue to answer no, they literally have blood on their hands.
Renée, are you optimistic that this country can do something to address gun violence?
Oh, definitely. I'm optimistic because I know at the state level around the country, we are doing things and we're seeing an impact. So am I optimistic that our current Congress and Senate will pass the common sense gun laws that we've passed at the state level into law? Very guardedly, but I think it's really on the American people to communicate with our legislators by our vote that this is a litmus issue. If you are not willing to vote for common sense gun laws, I don't care if you're Republican, Independent, or Democrat, you literally do not deserve a seat in office.
Renée Hopkins, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you. I appreciate it.